Hi guys. So during this isolation period, everyone's on lockdown. We're not allowed to go out, etc. Although everyone is, and a lot of people aren't really seeing it as isolation. They're more seeing it as like a productivity contest. So a few people have mentioned to me that I like whiskies. I know a little bit about whiskey. I'm no expert. All right. But they sort of suggested maybe I should do whiskey reviews. Let's not run before we can walk. Let's try with this one, see how we go, see how you like it, see how informed you are, see if I've bored you or not, and we'll take it from there. All right, I'm going to keep you short as possible. We're living in this generation now where everyone wants everything right like that. And even though we've got absolutely nothing to do, people can't spare 5 minutes, for my 5 minutes to spare, so bear with me. All right. So just a quick bit background on me. Not that you give a shit, but everyone's got to tell everyone about themselves, haven't they? So really, really quick. Landed in Queenstown back in New Zealand. In Queenstown in New Zealand back in 2010. After leaving the army, went backpacking. Got working at a little bar called Red Rock. Down there, and above it was this little whiskey room, little whiskey bar called the Whiskey Room. I don't think it's there anymore, unfortunately. I was doing the odd night up there, got to a bit more often, and I started learning a thing or two. A couple of people started helping me out, and you learn from customers, and etc. etc. And just trying the different whiskies, and here I am 10 kilos years later, 150 whiskies in the cabinet, or as the missus calls it, house deposit. Hey, she drinks it as well. So the first whiskey that was ever bought for me was from Bex, my partner, and it was an Oban 14. So once I finished that bottle, she actually had that bottle turned into a clock for me. I've still got that clock actually. So that's what I thought I'd start it all with. It's what got me started on whiskey. So I thought that's what I'd do my first review on was Oban 14. So now Oban, tiny distillery on the west coast of Scotland. They can't actually expand due to being surrounded by the town itself, right by the sea, right coastal little town. Went there a few years back actually. Awesome little place, a bit touristy, crappy weather when I was there, but yeah, still plenty of tourists there. Keeps the place alive, and yeah, just extremely friendly. When I got there, I was driving around. It's like a one-way system as you go around. So once you're in it, you kind of screwed. You have to keep going around it. And I pulled over asking directions for this girl, and got chatting, and I went on my way. Found my hotel or B&B, and later on found a little bar, and it was just just a wall of whiskey, just amazing. Like a lot of bars up there do, just walls of whiskey. And I was trying to decide from the hundreds of bottles it got, and this girl. The girl who I asked directions for a few hours prior, she actually just walked up to me and handed me a Highland Park 12-year-old. So I was just like, I'm gonna like it here. This is pretty good. So just something on whiskey itself. There's the open right there. So being a Scottish single malt whiskey, Lily has to come from Scotland. Obviously, be aged for at least 3 years in oak casks, made in one distillery in a pot still. By batch distillation, using only water, malted barley, be at least 40% or 80 proof for you Yanks out there. And there's a few other rules. It all got updated in 2009. There's caramel colouring can be added, and there's a few other bits and bobs. It all got added on, or updated, should I say? And the the oak thing changed as well. Like it used to have to be in used oak barrels, like bourbon barrels. So bourbon barrels bourbon has to be aged in new barrels, whereas Scotch whiskey was in used, and I think they updated that in 2009. But hey, correct me if I'm wrong. I might be wrong with that. So onto the tasting. We break it down to nose, palate, finish. All right, nice and simple. So here we go. I poured this one earlier. I've actually been tucking into it a little bit already. Get the afternoon going. It's 2:20 on a Sunday, Easter Sunday actually. So just give it a good. Well, some people like to do a bit of this. All right. I like to add a little bit of water, and some of my whiskies do that. Just get water just opens it up. Don't have to have water if you don't want to. Went to Dramfest recently down in Christchurch. Some people were like, no, it's sacrilege. You can't be adding water to your whiskey. If you don't want to, you don't want to. I do think personally it does open it up a little bit. and some of those more higher percentage ones, those hotter ones, you know, there's some whiskies out there like the Abela, they do Arbona. I hope I said that correctly. You know, that's 60 odd percent. You're gonna have to water that down. You know, so okay. So the nose, sweetness, really sweet, fruity, kind of like sort of like citrus fruits in a way. Sea salt, seaweed, which you're gonna get from the from the location of where it is. I mean, it's right next to the sea. I think it's across the road from the sea. You know, so that smokiness, that amazing smokiness. Oh, it's just yeah, and it's sort of like a little medicinal smell. It's not like Lefroy. If you've ever had Lefroy, it's not that strong. Like Lefroy's like TCP to me. But I mean, that's just. I mean, it's not insulting to the nose. It's not burning. It's absolutely spot on. Yeah, those fruits coming through. A little bit drier, thicker, kind of like a honey caramel pushing through. You get that smokiness a little bit, but it's not too overpowering. Smokiness actually kind of dies off. Yeah. And you got that finish. Near on perfect as far as I'm concerned with a whiskey. Some whiskies they fall off. You know, it falls off, disappears. And you're like, okay, where's that gone? But you want a nice finish. As long as it goes, like the longer it goes on, the better. That's personal opinion. This one I think is just absolutely perfect. You can sit with this dram for an evening. You know, maybe a good cigar. You know, it's smooth, sweet. The woodiness of the barrel just pops up, and there it's still just there at the back of the throat. It's great. Yeah, I just think this is one of the best bangs for your buck. New Zealand, about $100 you can pick a bottle of this up. New Zealand dollars, that is. I don't know what that is in British pound or US dollars or whatever. If you use xe.com, I'll find that out. But yeah, this is available on most shelves, every country. With regards to getting yourself a decent whiskey, I don't think you can go wrong with this. They do a range. They actually do a range. So you've got 14. They do Little Bay. They do the distiller's edition. So this was aged for an extra year in different type of barrel. I will see next week. They do the Game of Thrones whiskey. I've actually nearly finished that. I got myself another bottle, so I've nearly finished that. That's not too bad. Is it worth the hype? Probably not. 18-year-old. I searched for 10 years to find this. Finally found it this year, just before my 10-year anniversary in New Zealand. So I bought that. It wasn't cheap. Is it worth the money? Personal opinion again. I'm just glad I found it and added to my Oban little stash there. Love to get my hands on like the 21-year-old, and there's a few of the distillery editions they do that they didn't have when I was there. So I'd love to get my hands on those. But yeah, they do a range. They do an absolute range. So yeah, they've all got that profile of Oban, just different they've got their own unique sort of personalities, if you like, within them. The Oban know exactly what they're doing. So hey, yeah, look, if this is you never tried whiskey before, I would say Oban's a great starting point, and maybe I'll see you next time for another little review.